Peace be upon you and God's mercy. It's been a long time since I released any courses due to circumstances beyond my control, but I wanted to come back with this course. I'm one of those people who really struggled before I learned AI, and that's why I wanted to offer an AI course from a new perspective, one that keeps up with the latest developments in the AI field. Of course, with all the updates coming out every day in artificial intelligence, it's impossible for people to keep up with all of them because there are just so many. Like everyone else, I felt lost in the middle of all these updates, so I decided to take a month or two or even three to explain this course. That way, I could review my own knowledge and at the same time deliver a really good method for people to learn the new perspective, machine learning as it will be in 2025 and beyond. Anyone who wants to learn machine learning, if they listen to the old courses or the old way of teaching machine learning, it's just a waste of time. But the method we'll use in this course is the one that matches the technology we're living with right now. And after you finish this course, we'll start with hands-on experience. Even if someone knows nothing about machine learning, we'll start from zero and go all the way to large language models. I'll show you now the topics we'll cover in this course. My own problem with learning machine learning, even with the available courses, was that most people don't focus on the theoretical foundation, the mathematical equations, and so on. People focus on the algorithm itself, how to write the code, how to implement it, and that's it. That's what most people, about 99%, focus on. But with the developments happening now, programming isn't the obstacle it used to be. Now, if you want to write any code, it's very easy. You just go to ChatGPT or to Claude. Claude 4 is currently the most powerful for programming. If you go to Claude and say, I want code that does 1, 2, 3, it'll give you the code instantly without you needing to know anything about the programming language, whether it's Python, Java, or any other language, okay? So now we don't have any problem with programming, but what is the main issue with machine learning these days? The main problem with machine learning is that there are so many algorithms, so you end up feeling lost when you try to write code or ask AI to generate code for you. You don't really know how to guide the AI properly, so it gives you the right code quickly without wasting time. Another issue with AI programs now, like ChatGPT, Claude, or others, is that the longer the chat goes on, the more errors start to appear in the model, and the results become less desirable. So you want to get the AI to give you the result as quickly as possible without dragging out the conversation. Now, to do that, while you're learning machine learning, we don't want to focus on programming. Anyone who just has the basics of programming can write very complex AI code, but only if they understand the theoretical foundation and the mathematical equations behind the model. Meaning, if we're going to build a certain model, you need to understand how that model works, how to tune its parameters, and what effect each parameter has on your model. If you know all this theoretical information, you'll be able to write code using AI very quickly and efficiently. And you'll be ahead of a lot of people who studied machine learning without understanding the theoretical equations or information. We will present this code, myself and engineer Dr. Hamad Al Sultan. We are PhD students in America specializing in AI. And God willing, we will present a very strong course and a significant addition to Arabic content. There will be an English version of the course, but it will not be free. However, the Arabic content will be exactly the same as the English content, and the Arabic content will be available for free to everyone. All right, what will we learn in this course? First of all, we want to answer this first question. Why is this course different from the financial courses that millions of people have taken? Also, the second question we need to answer is, what will we learn in this course? Third, we want to know what prerequisites you need to be familiar with, or what things you should know before starting the course. These are very simple things. Then we'll also talk about exactly who this course is intended for. So first, let's explain or clarify why this course is different from other courses, as we mentioned in the first slide in the introduction. The problem with AI right now isn't in programming. In other words, the challenge of creating a machine learning algorithm isn't in the coding. The current issue with machine learning is that you need to really understand the algorithm very well, and I haven't seen this addressed in any of the courses I've attended before. Not even the most famous machine learning courses focus on this aspect as they should. So, in this course, we'll provide a very strong theoretical foundation for machine learning. That's the first difference between this course and the ones currently available. What's the other distinction? The course will consist of 19 chapters. In the first 3 chapters, we'll explain the theoretical foundation in detail. We'll discuss how advanced projects started, we'll explain the equations in a unified way, and how to build the algorithms in a unified way. We'll do everything ourselves in the first 3 chapters. I want us to learn what advanced projects are, what training is, what training means, and to really understand what training is all about. Everything related to the basics of machine learning will be covered at the beginning, specifically in the first 3 chapters. So, what happens after those 3 chapters? After those 3 chapters, we'll start working with the program called Cursor. Cursor is currently the most powerful software available. Why Cursor? It's exactly like VS Code, there's no difference, but it includes all the AI models available right now, like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude 4, Claude 3.7, and every model you can imagine is available in Cursor. So Cursor is considered an AI agent that helps you build complete code without writing a single line of programming yourself. However, this requires you to understand the basics of programming and at the same time to have a very strong grasp of the theoretical foundation, just like we're doing in the first 3 chapters. You need to understand the foundation so you can guide your AI agent to build a good machine learning model for you. Now, of course, Cursor isn't free. Cursor is available for free to anyone with a university email for 1 year. After that, it costs about $20 per month. So all students can use Cursor for free for a year. If you don't have access to Cursor, but I still recommend that you use Cursor because I believe that very soon, yeah, everyone is going to switch to Cursor. Yeah, because it's a fully integrated work environment, and honestly, it's really impressive. Also, there are some really good options. People can work on Google Colab or use Jupyter Notebook, but in this course, I'm going to focus on Cursor because that's the future, and that's what everyone is looking at now. Okay, so that's the second difference. You're going to learn prompt engineering. After you really understand the theoretical foundation, I'll teach you how to create prompts. A prompt means you write text for machine learning in a way that it understands in detail, and at the same time, it gives you code that's really good from the first or at most the second try. You'll have hit your code target. The third difference is that we're going to do a lot of practical applications in machine learning, and we'll use different hardware. For example, we might use GPUs like Dell RTX or maybe 3060, 3090, 3080, and a lot of other options. I'll try to make an application for you on the A100 and maybe another one on the H100, which is pretty much the highest GPU available right now. Sound good? All right, the fourth thing that will be really special in this course is that we're going to learn Docker and containerization. Docker and containers are extremely important right now for anyone working in research or in companies. You need to know Docker and containers, and you need to be able to work with them well. So we have some really new stuff in this code. That means for anyone who wants to learn machine learning in 2025, this course will be perfect for you because you won't be learning the old ways. You'll be learning from the perspective of modern science and the latest technological advancements we're living through right now. After you finish this course, it'll be really easy for you to understand anything new that comes out from Google, OpenAI, or any of those companies. You'll easily get what's new, how you can benefit from it, and how to work with it, because you'll have a solid understanding from this course. As we'll see in the next slide, these are the topics we'll be learning in this course. Of course, I know this slide looks really complicated. I just brought it up so you can see the scope of topics we'll be covering in this course. We'll start from the basics and go all the way to transformers and various scientific topics. So I broke down the previous figure into several ideas to help you see more clearly what we'll be studying in this course. The very first chapters we'll study in this course. First of all, the first chapter will be about wanting to get to know more about how it started, how basically from the very beginning, the basics that we're supposed to know. So that will be the first chapter. After that, the second chapter will take a simple machine learning algorithm, okay? Like the perceptron, the adeline, very simple things that we're supposed to understand just so we know how the more complex machine learning algorithms were built, okay? And what was the starting point? After that, we have some advanced algorithms, okay? Of course, they're not advanced compared to the modern technology we have today, but they are advanced relative to the course we're teaching. The fourth thing we're supposed to talk about is the data. It's probably the most important thing to learn in machine learning. because if you handle it well, your model will most likely work well with minimal effort without you having to exhaust yourself, as long as the data is good and has been properly preprocessed. So as a result, you won't struggle when building your model. The next topics we have from chapter 5 to chapter 8 include ensemble learning, which is the chapter, dimensionality reduction, which is a very important chapter in machine learning, model evaluation and tuning, which is one of the most crucial things you need to learn in machine learning, and hyperparameters, parameter search, and how to evaluate or assess your model. Then in chapter 8, we'll cover text and sentiment analysis. This is, of course, considered the beginning of the revolution of large language models, so we'll study it in detail because it's very useful for us to understand the modern advancements that come out later. From chapter 9 to chapter 12, we will also learn how to build. This will be about because later when you build, for example with glass, as we will learn, or even when you build, you will understand everything in the algorithm. So if there's a new parameter, for example, you'll know exactly where this parameter will affect the model. Therefore, you'll know how much the value of this parameter will impact the model, and accordingly, whether you should set this parameter high or low. So, for example, how do you perform parameter tuning? How to automatically adjust its value? Of course, this might not make sense to a lot of people at first, but we'll explain these things later on. After that, from chapter to chapter, we'll work on convolutional neural networks and recurrent neural networks, and we'll study transformers and attention, which were at the start of GPT. We'll also learn how to optimize large language models, and we'll cover some advanced PyTorch concepts. There's a lot to learn in these sections. Then, from section 17 to section 19, we'll learn about GANs, graph neural networks, and reinforcement learning. These are very important topics in the world and technology we live in today. So, this course will take you from zero all the way to large language models. After that, in just 2 or 3 months, you could catch up on all the latest developments. For your information, that's actually the reason I made this course. I felt overwhelmed by all the new things coming out and couldn't keep up. So I decided to dedicate about 3 or 4 months of my time to thoroughly review everything I might have missed to really understand it well. After that, understanding things related to AI automation, AI agents, and all the new stuff coming out will be a breeze, as they say. It'll be much easier to grasp. Because honestly, all you need to do is understand how these things are built, how to make the right adjustments, and how to redesign them. That's all that's required of you in this new world we're living in. This course will be a prelude to another course I'll start later on, computer vision, but we'll talk about that when the time comes, not now. Of course, you should know the prerequisites for this course. You just need some basics in probability and statistics, like knowing what a mean is and the basic concepts. You should also have a PC or a regular laptop, that's all. Of course, you can work on it using Cursor, or you can use Google Colab for speed. The difference is that Cursor gives you a better experience. Or even in VS Code, it gives you a better experience because when you go to work at a company or anything like that, you'll be required to run the model locally on your device. You won't be able to use Google Colab since phone companies require paid accounts. I prefer that you have a university email. It works for you if you have one, but if you don't have a university email, it won't work. And you'll be able to buy a course, so everything will be fine, and so on. But having that thing, that tool, will help you more to write code easily. Of course, in the first 3 chapters, we'll focus more on writing the code by hand, but after those 3 chapters, we'll learn how to use AI, prompt engineering, and Cursor to build a strong prompt that gives us our code from the first try, without dragging out the chat or causing any issues with the AI tool we're using. This is the reference I'll be working from, and of course, there are other references, but this is the main one I've gotten most of my information from, okay? See you next time. Peace be upon you.